What is going on, guys? It's episode 368 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I am here with two hosts today. To my left, introduce yourself, sir.
Oh, ahoy.
Yeah.
I'm Phil Labonte.
Yeah.
I'm the lead singer for All That Remains, and I'm here to talk smack about all things pop culture.
Yes. I don't have the set order like Tim does, so I could go this way first, I could go that way first. You never know. And to my right, back again. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Dane Font here, marketing man extraordinaire and the patron saint of White Boy Summer.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Patron saint of White Boy Summer. Awesome.
I see you're learning about my credentials.
I am. I like that.
He's always been the patron saint of White Boy Summer
like
here.
that.
That's what he is.
Mm-hmm.
We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today, guys. Kim Petras. Kim Petras is now the next rung down the ladder. Make that face again. Is the next rung down the ladder of the Outrage chain that is keeping Sports Illustrated in the news far more than they would have been if they had just done a traditional swimsuit catalog. And I want to talk about how this type of marketing really does work to keep them in the news cycle. So we will discuss that. We will talk about Harry and Meghan getting in a not so almost fatal car crash and further proof that everything that you see in the world today is fake. Not real. It's all fake. And then we will talk about the fact that Meghan Markle just got an award for activism. For what? I have no idea. I don't think anyone else does either. But I've been rewatching Suits, so she should get an award for how hot she looked when she was on that show. I would be okay with that award. But we'll talk about the activism and the almost car crash. We're also going to discuss J.K. Rowling trolling a bunch of people online who were doing the, my son came to me and said, why is Donald Trump trying to destroy democracy? Only it's the J.K. Rowling edition of this, where they're like, what? My kids were like, why are you such a bad person? She's owning clout chasers on Twitter who are talking about their imaginary kids.
Yeah.
It's a bad look.
It's a bad look.
Yes. I'm happier with bad look than people who say bad take. I'll tell you why. Because a lot of times they add bad take to something where it's just a general opinion when it's not really something that's deserving of necessarily a full negative or positive. Like somebody yesterday got upset that I made fun of Atmosphere, and they're like, insulting rhyme sayers is a bad take. I'm like, well, whether that's true or not, it's mine.
I think the lowest form of human is those that say yikes.
No.
I say big yikes, but ironically.
My case holds.
Fair enough.
I'm kind of curious as to your take on people that say question mark?
Oof. I think that's worse than yikes.
I kind of dig that one, honestly.
I feel like that's like source.
Source, bro?
Yeah, it's along those lines.
Oh, I've never said. What is it? Question mark?
Well, have you seen that movie?
No.
Question mark?
No.
That's kind of how it goes.
Okay.
So
it's a pop culture reference.
Yes, it is.
So it's in the vein of a Joss Whedon production. Everything is a pop culture reference.
Maybe.
So we're going to talk about J.K. Rowling. We're going to talk about the fake kids that are being used to shame her and her ability to shame them right back. We're also going to talk about the fact that John Cleese had to come to her defense because it further strengthens my argument that the only people that are really willing to stick up for her are all geriatric and aging, and that's just a sign of the culture that we live in these days. The young people, they don't want to speak up. They don't want to.
I want to tell Honk Honk in the chat. Yes, they do hate you. They do. They hate us all.
Who's they?
H&K. They're a gun manufacturer.
Oh, yes.
And they don't want to. They had some beef, or they had some problems on the internet because they decided to stick their nose in the wrong topic at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that the take was all that awful. It's that they're like the way they did it was bad, so they got annihilated. And really, the reason that we should hate H&K is not because of their bad ideas or bad social media manager. It's because the MP7 is not available fully automatic to the civilian market. That's why we should hate H&K, because they hate us.
There you go.
I have to live every day with the knowledge that people of my profession are ruining the world.
Social media managers?
Yeah.
Kind of. Like
not even kind of.
Like,
right?
it's like when Sargon of Akkad. I always bring that story up where he got the milkshake to the face, and like Burger King did a thing where they're like, go buy our milkshakes. I'm like, why would you get involved in this?
Yeah, that's dumb, especially considering like Carl is so not offensive, actually. Like he's told some spicy jokes, but his actual like opinions are not particularly wild and crazy. So
To be fair, a lot of people can't. They've had their sense of humor surgically removed, so a lot of it's hard for people to tell. They don't know that jokes are actually happening. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Tom Hanks has weighed in on the AI debate, and I want to at least get your guys' opinions on thoughts of like what this will mean for different levels of actors. So we will get into all that. Also, I want to get Dane's take on Zelda because he has played it, and I do want to get your review on that for a little bit. So if you guys are ready, we will get right into it. Dane, are we ready?
Yes.
Phil?
Yeah.
All right. Before we get started, guys, could you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? It helps us out greatly in the algorithm when you do that. Also, remember, if you do have a super chat you want to send that is $20 and over, we will interrupt the discussion right then and there. We will read it, and then I will do my very best to get into my foggy brain and get right back on topic. I've been doing fairly well with that recently, but we're working on it.
He's holding it down.
He's trying to be better for Bobert.
Okay, guys, look, I just want to say, I saw all of your tags in Twitter with articles to the divorce of Lauren Boebert, and I almost responded to a couple of them with the meme that says, like,
divorced?
my time to shine. But then I thought, it's a little morbid to go ahead and seem so joyous at another person's suffering, even if it is kind of time for me to shoot my shot.
Their suffering is your gain. Give it a month.
Yeah,
A month.
It won't be creepy in a month.
No, I mean, no. How could it?
How could it be, right? It's were you going to send me that? Like 3 people.
Oh, I mean, instantly, right?
Yeah.
But I obviously, I think I'm the inception point of the Lauren Boebert and Brett joke. But you know,
I've got a fun fact.
I thought you knew.
The Lauren Boebert thing is kind of like the Fast and the Furious thing, which is kind of like the Tom Cruise thing, which is that I like something.
Masterpieces?
I like something, and then people seem to think that means it's like the most important thing in the world to me. So I make a couple of Lauren Boebert is hot jokes, and suddenly people are like, you're a stalker, and you want you can't have anything halfway on the internet.
No. But that's because the internet is where most of the stupid people are.
I'll put it this way. I don't even, because I'm not really a fan of following a ton of political figures because I find that it makes my timeline depressing and annoying. I'd rather look at the world through memes and and people that I actually know. Like, I don't even follow her on social media, so how much of a stan could I actually
Playing
be?
hard to get, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm like, wait, when I get that, when she's following me, then I'll hit follow back. But you know, until then, we're where we're at with this. All right, so let's get into it, guys. I got something I want to rave about to start the show. Top Gun. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning trailer is out, and it's freaking fantastic. Everyone should go watch this. Again, one of the hardest parts of the show is that I can't show you guys these trailers for fear of copyright and getting in trouble, but you have to go watch this trailer. Phil, you watched it.
Yes.
You like it?
Yes.
What did you like about it the most?
It looked like a Mission Impossible movie, and it didn't strike me as it was trying to preach to me. It looked like it was going to show me action scenes, fighting, explosions, things that make my stomach go whoa, because it looks like there's a little, there's height things and stuff. That's what I want from a movie. I want a movie to deliver the entertainment that I am going to get. Keep your social messages out of my movies, because your social messages are stupid.
There was none of that in this. Like, if anything, my biggest compliment for this trailer is the dialogue is gloriously evergreen, meaning that it's very clearly a tale of a bunch of heroes and good trying to triumph over evil, and the dialogue reflects that. And if you played that dialogue in a blockbuster 10 years from now, it would still hold up because it's a classic type of story they're telling. So the dialogue they're using in the trailer, at least, is also classic, which she says, truth is vanishing, war is coming. Like, that's perfect. That's right where it is. And then at the beginning, the guy's talking about, he's like, look, this mission is going to cost you everything. It doesn't speak to any one set of beliefs. It's just a story about a guy out there trying to do the right thing, protect the people he loves, and save the world. Who doesn't want to watch stuff like this?
Let me tell you, in the past 15 years, I think the only 2 movies that I've watched where I didn't feel like I was being lectured was The Last Top Gun and Puss in Boots.
Well, Mission Impossible is right up your alley if you want to watch something where you're not being lectured.
Puss in Boots, huh?
Yeah. It's just a nice film. I watched it with my girl. We like animals. We enjoyed it.
Dane is a big stand for that movie.
Well,
I stand by it's a cinematic masterpiece.
I like the fact that it's not preachy.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that was so. It's the only two pieces of media that I've consumed that at some point was like, but Batman, you must remember the white privilege and how it affects the like, oh my god, like what are we doing?
That is fair. I mean, that was the one like as much as I didn't like the Batman because it was overly long, that line actually stood out as being like over the top, and it took you out of the film you were watching.
But to the point that I'm trying to make is like it was only one line, and that's enough.
Yeah,
that's enough to pull you from immersion. Be like, wait, what's going on? Like.
Also, if you guys didn't see, if you ever watched, they did like a 7-minute featurette of how they shot the scene of him going off the cliff.
Yes.
With the motorcycle, and I've been watching it because when he's doing it in this featurette, he's on this massive ramp.
Yep.
Well off the top of the mountain cliff, so of the mountainside. So I was actually watching the matte painting in slow motion to watch how well it blends in the ground. It's pretty good. Like I wasn't expecting it to be perfect. That's a lot of animation to do that.
Have you seen the how movies are made Twitter account where it's a dude in the green? I would like to see that effect on that. You know, the green screen. If they could pull the...
They'll probably end up doing that once the movie comes out. Like, they end up doing it later, usually after the release of them.
I saw the guy walking with a donkey.
Yeah.
That was good.
There's a bunch... They did a couple of good ones with Batman. Like, I think with the skyhook scene from Dark Knight and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a good one to follow. I might have to refollow that one because I deleted my old Twitter and that was one I used to follow back in the day. So I might not even be subscribed to them anymore. I'm gonna have to go do that. But guys, go check this trailer out. It's everything you want from classic Hollywood summer blockbuster cinema. None of the lecturing, all of the action, classic dialogue, heroic, cool-looking people doing heroic, cool-looking things. S.I. Morales is the bad guy. Fantastic. He's got a great look about him. If you didn't watch Titans, he was Deathstroke in Titans. He's really, really good. So check that out. It is absolutely fantastic. I cannot say enough because now tomorrow I'm going to see not Top Gun again. That's the second time I almost said Top Gun today. Maybe I am a Tom Cruise stan. Fast and the Furious 10 tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. Anybody want to come with? Anybody here? Come with? No.
We'll see.
I'll go. But I will go and sit in that theater by myself if I have to.
Good.
It will be just me by myself watching this movie, going like, yeah, family. Just say that like annoyingly every 5 seconds. Just yeah, family. All right. Also, there's a trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's, which the first thing that stood out. Look, I didn't play the game. Did you? You didn't play the game?
I've seen it.
Okay, you've seen it. I know that I've heard people talk about the creator. I know that the game series is wildly popular. My favorite part of the trailer was that it had Matthew Lillard in it, and it kind of felt like that Nicolas Cage movie that came out. Wonka last year, and I can't remember the name of it, where it's like it takes place in a place like in a circus pizza type place like this, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
You know, people often say Nick Cage movie as they're trying to evoke like an aesthetic.
Yeah.
But I think the thing about Nick Cage is that he pretty much gets on anything, so I can't really pin down what a Nick Cage movie means.
Well, I mean, I'm saying that just because he was the star of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, in that movie.
But you know what I mean, right? Like people say like a Nick Cage movie.
Yeah, because it's kind of like Liam Neeson has become that way because he's done a bunch of movies that are kind of just like taken light. After that, he did like Blacklight and a couple of other ones that were all kind of in that vein of old guy hero who comes to save the day. Like one of my favorite things that ever. Oh, we got a $21 one right there from Disco Jensen.
Disco Jensen, Brett, use some pickup lines. I'm sure you can meet a nice lady going to see Fast X.
I wonder if Lauren Boebert wants to go see Fast X.
Yes.
This is like, hey, I know you've got bills to pass in Congress, and I know you've got a family, but I've got 2 tickets to go see Fast 10.
She only has to vote, and a vote doesn't take very long.
Just like, hey, get that vote in, and then let's go hit up Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, there's a lot of movie theaters in the DC area too, so you can definitely find.
I was like, I will come to you.
There's got to be one in like Chevy Chase or something.
It's about family, so you can be like, hey, I'm down with that.
I'm so down.
I'm big on family.
She's just like, she's got like what 4 kids, so she's big on family. Like you're big on family.
She's got 4 kids. Why? I don't know. I'm not a big fan of divorce personally. So like what do you get married for in the first place? Like that. It's cool if you don't want to get married. You don't have to get married. You just live together, right?
What does common law marriage do eventually?
Well, either way, it's not the same thing.
It doesn't have the same
It's not the same thing as like if you want to go ahead and get common law married, you can do that too. But like, you have to like take steps to connect your lives like that. Just live in the same place.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not religious, that's kind of like how I think of it. You know.
Yeah.
Unless you're actually gonna do like the marriage stuff, where you're like, all right, through thick and thin, whatever garbage life throws at us, we're sticking together. That's what you get married for. If you're gonna be like, if divorce is an option, you're just making believe you're married because you're not really married. You're just extra dating. Yeah. You're just super, super serious about your relationship.
Seems like these days that's becoming more and more common too.
Yeah,
as people
totally.
are afraid of commitment.
If you look at, I mean, that's why divorce rates are 50% or whatever.
Is it 50? I mean, it feels like it's been 50% for like 20 years now.
I think it's that or more. So.
It's like it feels like it hasn't jumped. Does anybody in the chat know?
Seems like a quick Google.
Yeah, it's a fairly quick Google.
And there's
right
nothing
there.
wrong with people that like if you want to like separate and stuff, but the whole like doing the get married stuff and then treating it like you're dating is bad.
Yeah.
If you want to just stay dating, stay dating. You're like, that's cool. It's okay.
40 to 50% of first marriages end in divorce. 60 to 67 of second marriages end in divorce.
Oh, see, Hollywood always pushes the notion that the second time is when they finally get it right.
No.
Like that's a big trope in Hollywood movies. Is like, oh, they got married. She got married when they were young. He got married when they were young. It didn't work out because they were too immature to understand what was going on.
And also, if you're getting into a relationship with someone that's parents are divorced, the chances are way higher that you're going to get divorced too, because that's normal to them.
I didn't know
divorce is an option. If you come from like, especially like religious people, but if you come from a family where like divorce doesn't happen in your community, right? Yeah. If that's just outside of the realm of possibility. It never even
comes to your mind.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, okay, how do we get through this is always your first response. If you come from a family that has divorce, well, I can always just get out of here if I don't like it. I can just split. And that is something that way too many people do. They don't know what real commitment is. So
I think like the whole swiping nature of dating is more prone to that. I mean, statistically, you're probably right that children from divorce are more likely. I've never seen the studies on that. But I think the treating someone as expendable, it's like you're literally like moving them towards locations as if they were like a book on a shelf.
Yep. 100%.
All right. And guys, remember, I'm joking about the Lauren Boebert stuff. If anything, I would hope that they would reconcile and be able to make it work, right? Like, you don't like seeing anyone have to go through that, especially when there's kids involved. You'd hope that people work it out and that it comes to be okay, but obviously in the culture we live in these days, it is one of those things that just becomes frighteningly more common.
It's just normal. Everybody, like so many people know people that are divorced. That's part of why divorce is acceptable, because no-fault divorce has made people that just feel like getting divorced, make it easy to get a divorce. And so divorce becomes more and more common, and people expect less out of their relationships. All right.
I do want to give an update for Transformers Rise of the Beast. Box office is tracking low, which to me kind of makes sense. I always feel like one of these movies that's not a comic book movie is going to jump through and surprise everyone and be the next big thing. But it feels like they're going to keep trying to get these franchises back off the ground, and it's just the law of diminishing returns, right? Like, they don't make as much money as they used to. It's not going to make as much money as the Michael Bay ones made in the beginning. Bumblebee did fine, but I don't know if it really justified needing to be made past that. They should have probably waited another couple of years before bringing this franchise back. But I am going to go see it when it comes out. But they're saying that it's tracking for just a $30 to $40 million opening, and it comes out June 9th. But the budget on it is well over $200 million, I believe. So how do you really justify a $40 million opening? It's like, I would love to be able to have the money to take that kind of bet and not have to worry about something going wrong.
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be amazing? $40 million bet, like $200 million, like, oh yeah, sure, make half that money back.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see, right? Wouldn't that be nice? Also, Johnny Depp got he got like I kid you not, like a standing ovation at his movie at Cannes, and got a very warm welcome back on the red carpet. But he says, I don't feel boycotted by Hollywood because I don't think about Hollywood anymore. That's interesting, considering that he was very, very desperate to get his reputation back. So now he's saying he doesn't think about it. But I am glad that he's at least back working again, and he's able to get through all this, and everything's going through the way it was. But his movie that came out is French, so it's not like it's a Hollywood production. That's not an American-made movie. So It is what it is. And one more thing. If you guys are fans, if you watched Hawkeye, if any of you watched Hawkeye, I don't know if anybody here did. I did. I thought it was meh. It was fine. Whatever. I like Jeremy Renner. He's great.
Yes.
Haley Steinfeld's fine. But they're making a sequel to the show. I'm sorry, a spin-off called Echo based on that character. And instead of releasing it one episode at a time, they're just dumping it all on streaming at the same time, which is very different for what Disney usually does, which is like they give you like a 2-episode premiere and then they release them one episode a week because you get more legs out of a story like that when it's out of a show like that, because it's actually coming out weekly, so more stories can come out and more attention can be paid for it. If they're just dumping it all at the same time, it says to me that they're not very interested in seeing the show play out. They just want to get it over with.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't claim to know, the minds of the people that work at Disney, but yeah, I mean, why would you just kind of be like?
It just seems like to put all that money into it just to get it over with seems pointless to me.
Sweet potato night in the chat and shut their.
I saw it says this. Phil is a male feminist.
Shut your dirty hole.
It's quite a slur.
All right, Dane.
Sincerely.
I want to get your takes on Zelda.
Okay. I'll be happy to. So the recent Legend of Zelda game came out, and I'll keep this short for not everyone is interested in video games in chat. So Zelda games are a mixture of adventure and puzzle games, and they're kind of the maximum expression of those kinds of games. Okay. So if you like both puzzles and adventure, it's right down your line. So the last iteration of the game takes place in the lore of the game has like an arc that divides in 3 possible like paths that could have been taken in history. Okay. And the last game is the latest version of the timeline.
How long did it come out? How long ago was it?
This game?
The last release.
6 years ago.
Okay, 6 years.
So it's right at the end of any of all the potential timelines. And this game, which is rare, is a direct sequel to the last game. And that comes with both its good and its bad. So one of the good things is that if you really like the last game, which was really good, it's one of my favorites, this seems like an improvement on that version of the game. Okay. So if you enjoy those gameplay mechanics, you get those more amplified and to explore the world that you're already enjoying.
Okay.
However, if you're one of those people that liked the fact that Zelda always changed a bit, it did change a bit, but it honestly feels more like an expansion pack that it does a whole new separate game. Which for someone like me who, I'm 30 something and the next game might come 6 years from now, I'm like, geez, I just don't.
Life will be very different.
It will be like I'm probably gonna be a father or something. Like things in my life will be like drastically different. And it was like, wow, I kind of wished that I had the novel experience again instead of a newer version of this game I formerly liked, right?
I heard this amazing story from this guy recently. He was telling me, he said he loved the first 2 seasons of Batman the Animated Series so much that he stopped watching it because he said, I want to be a father someday and I want to be able to watch this show from like season 3 onward. I want to be able to watch it with my son, and so that he can experience and we can experience it at the same time, because he knows that he loves seasons 1 and 2 so much that he wants to be able to watch it with his kid and experience the rest of the show for the first time with him. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's that's a lot of foresight to stop. It's also kind of a good explanation that there are people that aren't necessarily just out there for instant gratification, right?
Mm-hmm.
That seems almost unheard of in these days. In the world today.
It is a bit.
So what do you think was the best part of the game?
So naturally, these games are really long. They take anywhere from 50 to 70 hours to finish. So there's no way I've finished it. I think it's really good. I'm enjoying it quite a lot, but I have to say it was bittersweet because I did want something new and I did not have it. So I guess taking all that into consideration and taking the new features and all the gameplay stuff that you can do, I'd say I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
Oh, wow. What would you have liked them to do differently? You said this, there were certain things you'd like to have been done differently. What would you have liked they do differently?
So one thing that I want to, my biggest gripe with the game, I was actually talking with Aaron about this, is that I don't have any, it's so open world that I have no sense of progression. I don't know where I'm at in the story. I don't know how deep into it I am. I don't know if anything I've done is of great consequence or if it was some side content that they had. And, you know, so I think some people play game. Naturally, you play to have fun, but you want to feel like, at least in the game, you accomplish something. And the cool thing about Zelda, old ones, is that you would get rewarded with an item that would unlock a different path in the game. In this game, it's like the whole world is open, so you never really have that.
Interesting.
And so you, instead of having like 8 really long dungeons, you have like literally 100 plus very small dungeons.
Okay.
And so everything just leads to, oh, I discovered this area. It was very hidden in. There's a little dungeon.
Yeah.
Oh, and in the dungeon you'll get the same thing. So it's like nothing really feels novel. So the puzzles are cool. If you like solving puzzles and riddles and things like that, you'll definitely get some enjoyment out of it. But I accomplished something, and I feel that I have this cool knickknack that I didn't used to have. You don't really have it anymore.
Okay. And for a lot of people, that might be a sticking point because it was such a big part of the story before.
Yeah, I mean, it defines a bunch of games.
Yeah.
Those knickknacks. It's like, oh, this one had this, and this one had the other. So what's the one for this game? Nothing really.
What else are you playing right now?
I'm typical Yu-Gi-Oh stan.
Okay.
So I'm still being a dork in that regard.
Is that big? I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh, so I don't know. Like, is that still big?
It's decent sized, I think. I don't. It's never been quite the size of Magic the Gathering.
It's not Magic, right?
But I think it has like a fictional glass ceiling on top of it because Lizzo hasn't broken it. But beyond that, it's because the creator of the game says, I never want this to be professional. I don't want any monetary prizes associated with this. So there's never been like a professional league like Magic the Gathering. So that sucks.
Speaking of Lizzo, I saw this amazing video recently where she's like, and I was told to like, you dunk the Oreo in the milk.
Oh yeah, she doesn't know.
And then a guy cuts to a guy who's like, bullshit. I don't believe for a second that she's never dunked an Oreo in milk before.
Yeah. So speaking of Lizzo, I saw a comment or a joke by Jeff Dye. And I retweeted it, and it got a ton of traction. And he just goes, if Lizzo's so beautiful, why do women get mad anytime I tell them, you look like Lizzo?
Right.
Perfect.
It is so purely true. Like, you can say all the things you want to say about all sorts of things, but when the rubber meets the road, people will tell you really what they, like, if someone tells you gotta suck her penis, that's where the whole I believe that trans women are women stops for most guys. Not that there aren't dudes that are like, I'll suck the girl penis, but it's when you're like, okay, you look like Lizzo. Women are like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not beautiful. Lizzo is beautiful.
There's like a phrase in my family. I'll translate it to English, but it's basically, at the end of the day, the truth is always known.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
People will assert a lot of things until it comes down to it personally affects them. And it's like NIMBYism. If you don't know what NIMBYism is, it's not in my backyardism. So it's like people want they want windmills, but they don't want the windmill in their backyard because the windmill goes
It was all of the
all the time.
It was when they brought all of the illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard, and they said, "Yeah, we want them here, just not in our city."
Yeah,
right?
There was a recent case of that. It was a school that they were doing a protest. They were like, "Oh, we're for asylum
elsewhere."
Yeah,
not here."
People talk about nuclear power and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh, nuclear power should blah blah blah," but they don't want to live near a nuclear power plant. And I tell you what, I live near the nuclear power plant that I think is still open in Vermont. I'm within the danger zone, so I am in my backyard about my pro-nuclear takes.
All right, guys. I was gonna do a separate cringe of the day, but I think we're just gonna talk about this one. So, an OnlyFans model. This is cringy. This is cringy, guys. An OnlyFans model says that she ruined her mom's marriage by exposing her stepdad as her top subscriber.
Her top.
Yeah.
Her stepdad. Originally, when you told me the story before the show, I didn't hear the word step.
From the age of 11, he was her stepdad from the age of 11. So it says, in a video that has now been viewed more than 1.7 million times on TikTok, an OnlyFans model from Australia claims she caught her own stepdad spending money on requests for her naughty website and ruined her mother's marriage by exposing them. Well, I think the guy ruined the marriage, technically. I don't know if she ruined the marriage. I think the dude is the one that ruined the marriage.
Yeah.
She says, I ruined my mom's marriage. I never planned on telling this story on TikTok. Well, I don't buy that. I think you were always going to tell this story on TikTok for clout. But here we are. She began with her first post. So when I first started my website, I had this customer who was my #1 customer. Bought every single thing I sent him, and he was pretty much a follower since the beginning. She said that they would talk every day and claimed that he also made a lot of asked for custom requests, spending about $2,000 in Australian currency over a 2-month span of time. She alleged that he had a very specific username on her OnlyFans and only realized someone with the exact same name had been viewing her videos on TikTok, and says that she found him because it said like one of your followers is in your in your contacts, and she couldn't figure out who it was in her contacts.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a friend that recently started an OnlyFans. Been friends with her for years and years. She started an OnlyFans. He's like, will you promote my OnlyFans? I'm like, man, I can't do it.
Does she do good work, though?
I haven't looked. I'm not going to look.
Gotta ask her for a sample.
She says, I went absolutely mental trying to figure out who this person was in my contacts. I narrowed it down to 6 people. One of them was my stepdad.
Damn.
When says, I went with my gut feeling and messaged the website account and said, I know who this is. And within 2 minutes, I got a text message from my stepdad saying, hey, can we talk?
No.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. This is a sign that the culture is like, if this isn't a sign that the culture is degrading as far as we think it is. Look, on any given day, my instinct is always to push back and be like, look, maybe you're in a bubble. Maybe things aren't as bad. You know, everyone gets a bit of tunnel vision, right? When you read bad news every day, it is possible to blackpill yourself.
No, that man is disgusting.
But I'm saying, like, every time you want to think that the world is not as bad as you think it is, stories like this come out, and you're like, maybe my first instinct was correct.
You go to Google and you type in OnlyFans news, and something horrible is popping right up there. Some kind of affirmation that yes, indeed, society is irredeemable and God was right to smite Sodom and Gomorrah.
Damn. Do you know one of the biggest copes that I think I hear a lot? A lot of people say, most people are really affected by the pandemic, but not me.
What do you mean?
I think no one left that unscathed.
Yeah.
By the pandemic?
Yeah.
Like, you mean mentally?
And maybe mentally, physically, I don't think anyone left it in 100% unscathed.
Maybe in the context that like it kind of showed you how much it could affect people that were close to you that you might have thought of as not somebody who would be affected that way, like people who turn their backs on you, the same way that politics kind of went after 2016, and people who seemed calm and rational suddenly no longer seemed calm and rational.
Well, I have a few thoughts on that, I think, and one of them is not just that people didn't escape COVID. It was 2020. So it was the George Floyd riots. It was COVID. It was the election. It was a lot of things that had significant effects on people. And there aren't enough people that were able to actually disconnect from what really is mind-altering technology. The like button and the follow button and stuff like that. They really can control people's minds with that stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can really get significantly detailed about what kind of impressions this person sees and stuff. So I don't know that it's just the COVID pandemic, although I do think the COVID pandemic had something to do with it. I think that it was a lot of things that were going on in 2020 because it was wild, man. A lot, New York would shut down, nobody on the streets, and you got to hide from this invisible monster and of COVID, and you got to hide from this invisible monster of racism that apparently is now sticking its head up again. So it's a lot to take.
Dude, I lived in DC, and you know how at one point they were like, okay, so you could take masks off before they were like put them on again. Oh wait,
$20 one right there, Phil.
Clayton Amboy. Hey, Phil, yesterday my brother told me he thinks you're hot. I asked him how much Bud Light he was drinking.
What did he say?
Well, I mean, first of all, is your brother gay? I'm flattered either way, to be honest with you, because that's a compliment. I don't care where it comes from. Like, there is no difference between like getting a compliment from a dude that is gay or a woman that is straight. Like, either way, they're like, yo, you're attractive, and I'm not going to get mad about that. Don't touch me, but, that goes to woman and man, too. Both of you.
Hands to yourself.
Hands off.
Everyone,
yeah,
hands
and you
to
probably
yourself.
should wash them. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I got no sweat. I got no problem. I got no shade for the guy. Whatever. Cheers, thank you.
Look, as far as this story goes, I see something like stories like this seem to come up more and more because I think that a lot of these news sites troll for this stuff because they know that it makes shocking content for anyone to talk about, right? But I don't know if it's necessarily one of those things where we're underplaying. Like I said, I worry that I underplay it. That I'm like, look, maybe life's not as bad as we thought it was. Maybe a lot of times I spend all day reading news, right? So anybody's brain can kind of be structurally reprogrammed when all you're doing is reading bad news all day. Remember, everything you read, whether it's positive or negative, has been tailor-made to make you feel a certain way. And that is no exception for people who do stuff like what we do. Every thumbnail, every headline is supposed to make you think, feel, or experience something to get you to click. It goes to what you said. It's desperate for people are desperate for your attention because attention equals clicks, clicks equals money, right? Most of the time.
Yep.
But at the same time, news is a reflection of the world we live in. And it seems like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, these stories would probably still exist, but they would be far less common because of how much easier it is for women and men to make sites like this. And that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. She says, speaking with the Telegraph, after her initial video went viral, she explained that her stepdad was out of the family home within days and nobody was in contact with him after that. He is blocked from my pages on all my platforms. I have not heard of him since the day I called him out, she says. He wouldn't even come into the house to collect his belongings while I was there. 11 years old, he was her stepdad at the age of 11. Like, this isn't the thing where he moved in after she was 18 and didn't have much contact with her. He kind of raised her.
It doesn't matter. It's just gross.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, there are so many people on OnlyFans, homie. You did not have to pick the one that you are like actually connected with.
There was an episode of it was like it might have been an episode of Criminal Minds where like a politician was like seeing his prostitute like daughter, but like it was one of those things where it's like, oh, we've never had sex, he pays for companionship to talk, and like he knew that was his daughter who he like that
was Criminal Minds.
Was it Criminal Minds? Okay, and like so he knew. She didn't know, and he was basically just paying her to take care of her because he felt bad for abandoning her when she was a kid. The world is freaking weird, dude, and the people writing this stuff are freaking weird. But at the same time, Mary would say it's like Hollywood is a degeneracy, and it informs the culture in a lot of ways.
Yes,
like
I think that's true.
Would the culture have fallen this far if this stuff wasn't put into the media, promulgated forward, and then shown to you as something that was, if not normal, something that existed?
Communists call it the problem of of reproduction, where a society reproduces the society in their children. So your parents have kids, they teach you how to be an American or how to be whatever, and then you have kids and you teach those kids how to be. What communists believe is they have to break that reproduction of society, because what's happening in Western society is people are teaching their kids how to be good, capitalist liberals, and communists are intent on severing that and changing what is being produced. They want to produce communists. They want to produce socialist kids that have a critical consciousness and stuff. Marx said, ruthless criticism of all that is. Well, that's exactly what goes on. The infiltration or whatever into the colleges that has really spread these ideas. The intent is to create activists so they will agitate for more socialist programs, and you can sever the reproduction of a capitalist system and produce a socialist system. It worked in China. That's what happened with the Cultural Revolution. The kids they got into the schools, the kids started being taught communist perspectives, and they started churning out communists. It's literally like a virus. It gets into the schools, then it reproduces itself with kids, and the kids start going out into society, making more socialist people, that have a socialist perspective.
And in a lot of ways, as a society, we knew this was coming, and everyone kind of, for like 20 years, there was the cope of like, oh, those kids, when they get to the real world,
exactly.
When they get to the real world, they're in for a rude awakening.
Yep.
Well, the thing is, they're not taking it lying down. They're not in for a rude awakening. They're trying to force you to awaken to their world.
That's because the strategy was, don't go straight into the corporate world, and when you do, go into the human resources departments first.
Yep.
You get into HR, and then you get a couple people in HR that agree with you. You get a couple people that make some noise that can get a lawsuit on the at the company, whether it be usually it's some kind of
management is how you end up ruining these companies.
Yeah, you get in there in HR, and you have people that I was sexually harassed, there was racism or whatever, and then once that happens, then you get these companies that have the retraining and stuff, which is all just Marxist or Maoist struggle session stuff. Re-education is what it is. But you get these retraining programs, and you get whole industries that get propped up or come up around this idea, because it's cheaper for them to hire this company to teach all their people how to have good socialist ideas. Yeah. And as opposed to dealing with the 2 or 3 lawsuits that they're going to get. Yeah.
In fairness, I think a lot of it falls on the political class, but I think the countermeasure against those ideas, in my mind, I think historically is our artists. Yeah. And I think art is at an all-time low right now in the world, where everything is just a derivative of something in the past, everything self-referential and things like that. And so I've said it quite a bit on the show, but I've never expressed it to you, is that I feel that we live in a time where everything is so self-censorious that is the current struggle of the time. And naturally, since you're censoring, you can't quite convey through art what it is, that thing that you're trying to come across. And so as a substitution of that, we have like lectures. We have this kind of art that lectures us. It's like, well, if you were a great person, you would think this and that and the other. And it's kind of tell, don't show. And whereas normally you get taught like show, don't tell.
Mm-hmm. I think that's probably that's my experience too. I think that there is probably a drought of creative art because people are afraid to say things that might offend someone. You can't step out of line. You can't say things. There are definitely topics that are verboten.
Well, back in the day when you had art like that, people had to come up to you and express that view to you in person. Your art offended me in person. Now all of those critiques come to you at the tip of your fingers, and they come fast.
And because the activists, because there are so many, there are not a gigantic number of activists, but because the activists are so well connected through social media, they can make it seem like there is a groundswell of negative reaction towards your whatever. Most people in the world would see your comment, your idea, whatever, and say, oh, and not care. It's the people that are activists that can call on other activists to jump on whatever the topic is and go on to message boards and go on to Twitter and make a stink about it. And if they can make a stink, they can get a reaction from businesses, from people close their accounts, people shut up. And what it does is it cools off the freedom of speech, the idea that it's okay to express yourself with in whatever way it may be. People that are afraid to speak and talk about things are definitely afraid to, make art that contains those ideas. So I think you're right.
I think in a lot of ways, people just are. This is a generation unlike any other in which people weren't designed to be heavily criticized constantly. When you think about it in the real world, prior to social media, how many direct conflicts did you get into in your life on a daily basis where you had a severe, high-level disagreement with a person? It wasn't that common. It might happen at work once in a while. You'll argue with your family, but in general, you're not getting into like high-level debates and disagreements every day. Now that is commonplace and normal, and you're kind of always required to defend yourself and every idea all the time. And the human mind, in my opinion, wasn't really meant to do that every day.
I think it may be cultural differences with me because I'm Hispanic. And so when Hispanics, I'm sure all sorts of people do this, but we generally on the holidays, we do huge family gatherings, like 30-something people of like family and extended family. And typically what happens in those family meetings is that you meet a bunch of people, they're very different from you. And when someone is, let's say, offensive, your mother or your aunt will put you aside. He's like, well, Uncle Blah is like that.
Yes, that uncle. The uncle's always offensive.
Yeah, he says he's blah blah, but it's not. At no point is it he's offensive, so let's get him out of there. Yeah. It's like he's offensive, so you learn how to deal with him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And I personally am a person that can come off as a bit abrasive because I am a little edgy boy. Yeah. When I'm not on film, and I'm thinking that some people do the same thing. With Dane's a little.
Yeah.
So, but he means well, right? And I feel that we've gone from that to now I feel like the fault is on the person that can't take it.
Yeah. Well, it used to be
in a way
that we were expected to be able to handle our own stuff.
Right. There's levels and there's things that you shouldn't take, but within reason, in my opinion. The way I was raised, it's like you should have thicker skin. Like this shouldn't bother you.
Anything that's directed at you personally, I think it's reasonable to take offense. If someone says something to you, if you hear someone say something and they're talking abstractly or talking to other people, or you read a tweet, you probably shouldn't take offense. Maybe you'll be like, ooh, maybe you'll chime in and be like, I don't like this or I disagree. But taking offense on behalf of other people is really about you wanting to try to assert yourself and tell these people that they are wrong and immoral for having had the discussion that you find wrong and immoral.
All right. Guys, let's move on. I got some cute of the day. I got some one more cringe of the day. Would you guys like to see the cute of the day?
Sure.
We got a couple here. So first things first. We've got, I think this is the second one from Mike Sacchetta. I'm going to put it on screen here. This is Rocco. I think we've seen Rocco before, but this is a new picture. I don't think we saw this one before. I like it.
Look at him.
Yes.
Look at that.
Adorable.
Nose. And then that nose needs a boop.
Yes. We got a couple more here. This is from Montana Linderman on Twitter. It says, I re-downloaded Twitter so I could show you guys my little rebels, Luke and Leia. They just turned a year old a week ago. And let me tell you this has been the best year ever with them. Just wish I could choose more than 4 picks.
Stuff.
That is amazing.
Good stuff.
Oh.
Even for cats.
Oh. Whoa.
There you go. That's my favorite.
That is a good one
the
right
winner.
there. That is amazing. Those are adorable. And we got one more here, so thank you, Montana. This is from
Doge.
Corey Robbins, first ambassador to the moon, says, "This is my boy Barley. He'll be 3 in July. He eats constantly and loves to give hugs."
Barley, you're such a good boy.
That is a good one.
Look at the good boy.
That is a good one. Let's do one more because I got to get caught up on all these. So this is from Jack Shep. He says, "Brett, hashtag PCC Pets. Cue to the day. My madhouse: 2 dogs, 1 donkey, 1 bird, 2 cats, and now 4 kittens." Let's see. All right, that's a whole family right
You're
there.
gonna climb there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it is a madhouse.
That's a lot of pets. Look at this good boy.
That's amazing. Oh. Is that a Guinness? Looks like a Guinness. I have no idea. Good stuff, man. That is from Jack Shep on Twitter, so thank you. And also, one more cringe of the day. Nick Cannon confesses to mixing up the Mother's Day cards to the mothers of his 12 kids. It happens.
I am unsurprised.
We got a $20 one right there.
$20. Let's see here. Francisco Sanchez Jr., after 9 hours of watching the Whatever podcast, I'm happy to be back home with you guys, even without Mary. Was it 9 hours?
Well, between the 2 shows, I think they're like 4 hours each.
I know there was the one with Destiny that she did last night.
Yeah.
I just found out that she was with Destiny.
Yeah.
I have to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
I think he's an interesting guy. I really do.
Yeah.
4 hours is a long ass show.
Yeah,
Dude, I think another person got kicked out. They said last night.
I mean, but the thing
on
is,
the show.
I definitely I was on. There are these 2 guys, Sitch and Adam. They have a show that they do streaming, and they usually talk about multiple different things. They're usually covering other people's videos and stuff. So they do kind of reaction videos. And I was out there. I was with them for like 5 hours or maybe longer when when Lance was on Timcast.
Yeah.
Like it was the next night or 2 nights later. I was like, I want to talk about this. So the podcast of me and Sitch and Adam was tearing Lance apart. It was enjoyable.
Your tweets were quite good after that.
He said some of the dumbest stuff. And you know what else? If you want to see some real like primo stupid people comments, watch Sitch and Adam cover the Majority Report, talking about...
Oh my God, I saw it.
Oh my God. Sam Cedar and that Emma woman are they're absolute idiots. Just complete morons, some of the arguments they were making. Just the most ridiculous leaps. I could not believe how just stupid these people are.
Dude, Sam Cedar is textbook wit.
No, I don't think he's that smart. I think he's dumber than that. I really think he's a stupid man. I think that Emma woman is really dumb too. Just listening to the arguments they were making, it was like jaw-dropping.
It's all Fifi stuff. Like they're all about the Fifis.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
You gotta do what I do.
Couldn't believe it.
When you're dumb, you just hide it by not saying too much.
Honestly, based.
So let's go ahead and get started, guys. So I want to talk about Kim Petras. We had to cover a lot of the Sports Illustrated stuff this week, but I want to talk about it because I think what it does is that it proves that whether you like it or not, the woke marketing works to keep it in the news cycle.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna show you why I think that. So we have Kim Petras, who's in the news because they're saying the backlash over the fact that it's a trans woman on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Mary made the comment to me the other day. She goes, 82-year-old woman or 25-year-old man, you get to pick. Those are your choices, right?
Yep.
Okay, so here's the problem. So this also has so it has Kim Petras, it has Martha Stewart, it has Megan Fox, and it has this other woman who I have her name right here. See, that's what I mean by that. Her name is Brooks Nader. I wonder if she's related to Ralph Nader. That'd be cool. So the thing is, the Kim Petras one is about the fact that she's trans. The Martha Stewart one is about the fact that she's old, that she's an older woman and she's breaking barriers by being on a cover at that age. The Megan Fox story became about body dysmorphia, and then you just have hot woman, and just hot woman is apparently not marketable enough that you can't just lead with that anymore. You have to have some grievance story or some socio-political hook behind it just to keep it in the news cycle. Because
some blue hair fatty will get on the internet and complain.
My favorite thing yesterday was cutting up fat shame into a clip.
I mean, there is some virtue in fat shaming. Not a lot, because you don't. I mean, it sucks that people are getting their feelings hurt, but sometimes people need to get their feelings hurt.
Oh God!
Crisis party.
Crisis party. It's Ian.
Beer, beer, beer.
It's Ian running.
Jesus, you contribute to this.
Yes.
Pardon me? I did contribute to this.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Unmistakable.
I still have no idea what he was saying. All you got to do is party for. It's what was Ian partying for? Is that what he's doing right now? Is he off partying? I need to know.
I don't.
Where is he? I need him back.
Dude, what I don't comprehend about this culture is that no space is deemed appropriate for men only.
No, it's not really a thing.
No publication, no form of entertainment, nothing.
Nope.
Nothing
No.
is acceptable for dudes being dudes.
Yeah, and there is a reason for that. They literally want to take those things away from masculine men, because masculine men are the kind of people that don't need to rely on the government. They need to rely on the government the least. They need to have secure borders, they need property rights, but they're capable and have agency of going out and acting in the world. And they're also the ones that are the hardest to convince that they don't have agency, right? Like if you are trying to convince people that the people need your help, you have to convince them that they can't do things without you. And that's one of the things that you get from all the collectivized kind of ideology, the idea that you don't have this ability to do things on your own and stuff like that. That's something that is intentional, and it's because the government wants people to be, dependent on the government.
And I think how you get there is because when you're a man, there's like this age from 18 to 23, 25, where you abruptly learn that when you make mistakes, it really stops being cute. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And no one, and I mean, absolutely no one gives a damn. Yeah. And that's either when you become a communist or when you just do your thing. Well, it seems.
And I'm going to go through some of what they say here. So they say it's definitely a scary time. This is her talking about it. She says it's definitely a scary time to be transgender in America.
You're scared.
But there's also so much more representation than there's ever been. And there's so many things to look at on the bright side. She told about the swimsuit cover. She was talking about the onslaught of anti-LGBTQ legislation popping up across the country. She goes, I do feel pressure sometimes to represent the trans community with everything I do. That's one of my problems I have with most of these belief systems and ideologies, that everybody has to represent a larger cause rather than just celebrating the fact that you can represent yourself and yourself alone. Like, I myself don't speak for anyone but me. And I don't want to be representative of a larger group. I don't want to be a spokesperson for middling 5'5" American men. That is just...
Well, you are, Brett.
I don't want to be. I do not want that responsibility. I leave that on Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He's 5'7", so...
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I had something I was going to say and I lost it.
So it says, so these are some of the comments that come out about this. Somebody says, except Kim Petras is not there because of her popularity with Sports Illustrated readership, but because Sports Illustrated editorial despises its readership. We've seen that recently with other such companies who do seem to have middle management that want to fundamentally change the audiences of the people buying their products through hostile takeover, no less. It's never done cleanly, efficiently, nor is it ever done by laying it in slowly over time. It always seems to be this onslaught that comes all at once because they want to shock you into just accepting it, and if you don't accept it, you're a bad person, when really it's just basic economics. You make products for an audience, you have a target demographic, and you try to fulfill the needs of that target demographic. But whether it's comic books, whether it's beer companies, whether it's Sports Illustrated in this economy, are looking for that phantom new audience to expand their growth potential. And that's just right now with these companies, what they're doing is they lean into the fact that there's ESG backing to a lot of this. So even if it fails, they're kind of saved and cordoned off from any type of ability to fail. It really does feel like a lot of these companies are too big to fail sometimes. Like you can lose all the when what was the one before Bud Light? There was another controversy. Was it Hershey's or something? Right when that scandal happened, and somebody shared like all of the companies that are under that corporate umbrella, and I was like, you're not getting away from all these companies. Skinny Pop was on there.
Yeah, old money, dude.
Yeah, dude. Like you're not getting away from all of it, and it's all so intertwined. Another user curiously accused the publication of Mind R Word. That's mind our word. The goal is to trick hetero men into sexual desire for other men.
Dude, I mean, and they're gonna do it. They're gonna get it. It's becoming increasingly more difficult to the extent I have deepest sympathies with like single guys that have to navigate all that field.
Another spoken in defense of Petras, chastising haters. I don't see what hurts you about trans people. It doesn't affect you on social media, one user said. The amount of trans hate in this thread is unreal. This has become the new norm. It's like, why do you care so much? That's the new big one. It's to say, why do you care so much to everything?
Why are you talking about people's genitals? Yikes.
Why do you... Big yikes. Why do you
I'm telling you,
why do
nothing...
you care so much?
Listen, nothing good comes after yikes or the word discourse.
Yeah.
If someone says yikes, let me tell you about that discourse. Leave the room immediately. Save yourself the lawsuit.
What about rhetoric?
I don't think it's as bad as discourse.
Okay. But beyond...
I do feel like discourse, it depends on how it's being used.
New discourses with James Lindsay?
Yeah, because Lindsay, you know, it's like... I do think that discourse is a functional word, and if you are... It depends on the person. It does. It really does. In my opinion.
Agree to disagree on that one.
Okay.
All right, so I just wanted to point this out because then we also yesterday we talked about Martha Stewart. That was a big thing because look, they're getting support from both sides here because yesterday we were defending Martha Stewart because we're like, look at these losers who are telling her that she shouldn't not eat bread.
Yeah, dude, fat shaming an 80-year-old.
Like
brother.
So they're getting support from centrists. At least I would consider myself fairly close to being a centrist, right? Like somebody like me who'll support the Martha Stewart thing after coming around. They got the other side supporting Kim Petras, and it's really just outrage marketing at its most advanced when you just woke market, because then they go down and they talk about Megan Fox, where she says she comes to terms with body dysmorphia and says like, I never saw my we all know what that means. She says, I never saw my body the way other people saw my body, and they're just like, well, that story's not quite hitting the same as these other bigger stories. So they've worked their way down from trans ideology to old lady bathing suits to gender to body dysmorphia to then just hot lady in a bathing suit, and it requires all four if you want to stay in the news cycle for more than 3 days.
I mean, it's hard out there to get clicks.
Yeah, dude. Like this is like I remember I was watching old episodes of The West Wing, and they're talking about like the length of the news cycle. They're like the weekly news cycle, the 24-hour news cycle. I'm like, it's a 1 minute news cycle now.
I mean,
it's not even a day. It's less than that. You're going in chunks. Like sometimes you get the layoff where it's like Friday at 5 p.m. something comes out because they want it to die over the weekend.
Dude, West Wing is intellectual.
I love The West Wing.
Porn for libs.
It is.
Like the amount of dumbass libs that think that that's actually how it goes down, instead of them being prostitutes for whatever person's gonna pay for their next campaign, is honestly pathetic.
But the thing is, I love that for the same reason that I love military dramas. It's like, I understand that it's propaganda, but I like it when it's done well. You know, like I don't watch I don't watch any type of military or cop show and expect that cop is actually out fighting for truth, justice, in the American way. I believe that they show up to clean up the mess and crack jokes, eating donuts. I'm kidding. I'm half kidding there. I'm just saying that like all of the best military cop shows, they're all kind of a form of propaganda. The only ones that probably aren't are probably the firefighter shows. Maybe those are the only ones that are actually kind of true.
I mean, I feel like I said, I think we talked about firefighters the other day. Firefighters are you know, I don't want to ever hear people hating on firefighters. Those guys really, you know, they put their ass on the line. So I don't like the idea of hating on firefighters.
The Karlin Borisenko for a while was doing a video series called like watching The West Wing after taking the red pill, and I thought that was kind of I thought that's a clever idea, right? Like you've seen your view of the world change. Go back and rewatch this show that informed your beliefs before.
Once you stop believing the news, your whole world changes. And I
for the better and worse.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Was it Steve Molyneux said like, I wish I could vomit up the red pill? I do feel that way sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are days where I just wish that I could just hack it up like a bulimic.
I mean, just now, the stuff that's going on with the Durham report and stuff. Yeah. The fact that all of the things that have been pontificated about and all of the things that were suspicious essentially have been confirmed in that. That means that the federal government and a Democrat establishment suppressed information and put their finger on the election. Like, right? They affected it. I'm not going to say anything that is YouTube no, but like they were, they were trying to, make people's opinions a certain way. And the government is not supposed to have an opinion on who's in the government. The government's not supposed to get a say. So the FBI and the CIA and the Department of Justice, they're not supposed to have an opinion. They're supposed to be apolitical and just follow the law. And now people have literally accepted that happened.
Did you see the thing about like a Zuckerberg company buying like warehouses where ballots are stored?
So I don't want to touch that. No, because I don't want to touch that stuff, because that gets into stuff that YouTube is not cool with.
Okay.
Because
I'm just saying I read something.
So
I didn't make any comments.
So if I can move the conversation to something else. So the metaphor of pill I love, and here's why. So we've divided two almost ways of existence into the metaphor of pill. There's the blue pill and the red pill.
You just take both.
And it's kind of assumed that you have to take one, and that is your perception of life. However, that is life if you are drugged.
Yeah.
Can I be sober?
Yeah.
Can I be sober? Can I not take any of these pills? How is life without either of them?
I mean, in a lot of ways, it's not even a fair representation anyways. I still consider myself very much a liberal in most respects, right? So it's like, what does it even really matter, right? I also want to point out that there's a fantastic story here. If they had wanted to be uplifting and tell a great story, hot lady number 4, Brooks Nader, it says, I was so excited and overwhelmed. She said, my whole family flew out for a week-long celebration. She won like a competition to beat out 10,000 other people. What about overcoming the odds? Where's the story about overcoming the odds to be the hottest one in the room?
No, because winners are bad.
I know. You can't win these days.
Victory sucks.
Only victimhood is good.
Exactly. Everyone has to win. So everyone comes out even, or the victim wins.
And this is why pop culture is suffering. The swimsuit covers are now the gauge for how bad the television and the news and how all of it is making our lives suffer, because the swimsuit covers are suffering.
That's interesting that you mention it. One of my favorite video game players, he's like the most famous Street Fighter player of all time. His name is Daigo Mihara, and he has a book called The Will to Keep Winning. And the concept of that book is that when you win, one of the concepts it discovers very. When you win, you are stealing someone's dream.
Yeah.
So, because everyone wants to win.
Yes, you are. You selfish.
How dare you?
So to be a winner is almost to have the respect for yourself that by the way, because if they win and you don't win, you can have that empathetic moment of like, he wanted it really bad. He worked really hard for it. Are they doing that for you? And so the will to keep on winning is the ability to set aside things like that, to set aside like the emotional impact that you can have on someone when you literally steal their dream from them.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a compelling point of view, because this guy is the man. Yeah. And when you win in fighting games, you are humiliating people. Like it's an interesting, because just like fighting obviously not like fighting, I leave unscathed.
Yeah.
But in fighting, it's like, well, one guy's gonna leave triumphant and the other guy's gonna go to the hospital.
Yeah, but it's like people in MMA talk about, like, there's a lot of respect in just getting in the ring and competing.
Yeah.
And a lot of it nowadays is like people don't even want to get in the ring, and so therefore there's no respect given across the board because they're not getting in the ring to compete with other people. I'm just saying that we could have put her on the cover and everything would have been fine. Things would have been great. We could have been a country again if we had done that. But you know what? They didn't want to. So it's almost like there's a pop culture crisis going on. All right. We got some super chats there.
Super chats.
Let's go to the top here. We're up at the top. I'm moving upwards from Corn Pop. Corn Pop says, how long this time? I don't know what he's saying and referring to. He said that when we were in the waiting room, like when we were waiting to start the show.
Oh.
So maybe it was in reference to that. Deuce Boogaloo says the absolute worst kind of person is one who says, "Why do you care so much?" 99% of the time, it's them trying to gaslight you for a normal reaction. That's 110% true. 110% of the time. Why do you care so much? Like, it's like, I like that and cry bullies. Cry bully is the other one that you have to worry about the most, and those are the ones who cry out in pain as they verbally abuse you online. Like, why are you such a bigot? As they hurl insults at you. So, Disco Jensen says, "Boys, boys, 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 boys."
Oh yeah.
Yes, it is boys.
Boys,
today.
boys, 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 boys.
Disco Jensen also said, no, we already read that one. Derek. See, again, every day I feel more blind having to look.
I know.
So I'm like, and I push my glasses up like a complete nerd. Phil, followed you for a long time, and
Cheers.
I feel the need to thank you for Tattered on My Sleeve.
Oh, wow. Cheers, man. Awesome.
Is there a specific reason why that one would
That's
be a
a
favorite?
song. It's an old song from 2004.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in
By
the day.
our second record.
All right. Kai says, should have asked for anything except The Flash. Oh, yes, I forgot. I did put a poll up today, guys. I asked everyone what movie they're most looking forward to, and so far, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning is in the lead. So I put up Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. It's part 1, somebody pointed out in the chat. Yes, I know. Part 1. I'm not even a fan of them doing that here. Fast X is the other one, and then Across the Spider-Verse and The Flash. Right now, it's Mission Impossible in the lead. Across the Spider-Verse in second place with 22%, Fast X in third place with 16%, and just 11% of people want to watch homicidal Ezra Miller going around as the Flash. You know.
I mean, I don't really have a whole lot of desire to see Ezra Miller either.
I mean, I have morbid curiosity. I do. I do want to see it. So,
Right.
well, we'll see. I voted for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, of course, because
Yes,
everyone knows
of
that
course.
I'm a Tom Cruise fan. All right, we're moving on, guys. So, did you know that, like I've said on many occasions, that everything in Hollywood is fake? Everything you see in these industries is fake, and very little of it, if any, should be believed at any given time. There's an article on TMZ today. It says, Harry and Meghan chased by paparazzi for 2 hours, near fatal car crash, pedestrians at risk. Oh my gosh, the world is coming to an end, right? Well, there was a second article that came out where the cops are like, it was kind of a kerfuffle, but not really. I don't know if like near fatal is the right word for it. Everything is run by PR firms right now, right?
Dude, I think Freud would have found those two fascinating. 'Cause
Harry and Meghan?
she wants to be Diana so bad.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
well,
look-
and they invoked that in the near
I
fatal
know.
car crash part.
I mean, so there was they actually did have a car crash, right?
No,
Okay.
near car crash.
Yeah. That's the.
I'll read it. So it says Prince Harry must have had bone-chilling case of deja vu Tuesday night as he and Meghan were followed by paparazzi in what his people are calling a near-catastrophic car chase. As we reported, Meghan received an award for being an insufferable douche. Sorry, I read that. Remember I just said my glasses? Hold on.
Give him some time.
She
Chad.
won an award for her activism. Sorry, I got that one wrong. That was my mistake. Harry and Meghan's mom attended, in which when they left in an SUV, they were followed by police. Apparently, that's when the chase was on.
Apparently.
A spokesperson for Harry and Meghan said the relentless pursuit lasted over 2 hours. I'm picturing like a Fast and the Furious scene now where Harry is like he's like shifting. It's like 100 gear shifts
Was
in
he
the
driving?
frame. I don't think so. He's in the backseat. But then I'm picturing like their security guard hitting the NOS to get away from the bad guys. And he says, at some point during the chase, the SUV pulled over and the trio jumped into a New York City taxi and made a hasty retreat. Look, you're the life of a famous person who wants to be on a world famous privacy tour. Remember? Like they want to be private so bad that they have to be in public all the time.
Dude, that felt like the most old South Park in a bit that I've ever seen. It's a worldwide privacy tour. Like it was so freaking good.
Yep. It was the best one that I've seen. I mean that and the one with the I'm not here to talk about my transition.
I don't remember that one.
That is when he competes against the women and just absolutely destroys them. You'll have to. I'll send you that one later. So she was winning an award for her activism, and what her activism is, I don't actually know what that is.
So atrocious.
Nobody in the world really wants to be lectured by people of that level of wealth. I actually do believe that there's a fair argument to be made that activism becomes more harmful than helpful once you reach a certain level of fame and popularity.
Isn't it impressive, though, that she destroyed a monarchy just by being hot? That is somewhat impressive.
And I would have said, like a couple weeks ago, I would have said, like, yes, she's attractive, but oh my gosh, I'll tell you what. I was rewatching Suits over the weekend, and I would give every writer in Hollywood's pay to whoever was her costume designer. Whoever clothed Meghan Markle in Suits deserves all the pay raises and back pay and forward pay for future work.
Dude, hot women look hot in anything. Yeah. It's like,
yeah, I mean,
I could have done that job.
The thing about attractive people is they're attractive.
Yeah.
You know?
And they do a good job in the show of always showing her from just the right angle. It's fantastic. I just can't imagine a world where you have to make your activism that much of your personality when you had such a... Would she not have been allowed to be an actor after that? Like, because now she could go back to acting now because she's not part of the monarchy anymore.
Clearly, she's doing it right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, can she... I'm sure she could get work, so I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, it's just... The people that are this wealthy and in these positions, like royalty and stuff, it is so tiring to watch the way they behave and be so unaware of how just terrible it looks and how tedious they are and how full of themselves they seem to normal people. It's exhausting. Oh, is that me too?
So I've got the report here from Sky News. Two New York City police officials said that they did not believe that the incident was, quote, near catastrophic, although they did admit that there was a bit of a chaotic scene, which is just, anytime somebody who's in PR says like, ooh, we kind of bumped another car, let's punch it up to near fatal car crash. And it's why you should never take anything they say at face value, even if they're affirming something you believe. Even the people you agree with, you should be skeptical of anything they say, because even the people you agree with still live and die on PR in these industries.
Mm-hmm. And yes, you shouldn't believe. I mean, nowadays it is so hard to believe things that you see and read. And I mean, I'm sure that this phenomenon is not unique to people that live in our day and age.
Yeah.
But I do think, feeling like that is not unique to people that live in our day and age, but it is definitely a unique time in history. We have never been more capable of communicating with each other and stuff. So,
and also the exposure to it. Mm-hmm. Because I think pre-internet, I would have never heard about this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
You'd have to read tabloids.
I don't give an F about the royals. Yeah. Like, I couldn't care less. But now there's such a thing as the trending tab. And in the trending tab, you learn what the world cares about. And it's increasingly things I don't give up.
We are in an unserious time in history.
We're deeply unserious people in an unserious time.
Yeah. We live in postmodernism, and that's the problem. There's no... People are rejecting the idea of objective reality. That's why men can become women and women can become men. Do you think
the internet has played a huge role in that? Because back in the day, like to say that before when it's something in front of your own eyes, it's harder to refute than it is when you're seeing things digitally?
I'm sure that the internet has affected everything. It's had such a massive effect on our lives that to say that it didn't affect, hasn't affected things would be, I think, a massive error. But to what extent and in what ways, I don't know that I could even really, I mean, I could come up with a couple, but I couldn't come up with all the ways that the internet has. So I'm sure that it has a big effect.
I just feel like so much of what we see now is rather than just experiencing it as something that comes to you naturally in the world. You don't just run into people anymore. Now, everything you see on your phone is presented to you, meaning that it was prepared by someone, whether that means it was written as a paragraph or it's a video package. Everything you see is presented to you as something that's being given to you for a specific purpose rather than chance interaction. So in a lot of ways, I feel like we see the world through a lens of media that's prepared for us. Therefore, it's a lot easier to be skeptical of that because I would believe that if you're critical of what's going on in the world, you should be aware that everything that you're seeing is being shown to you for a reason. Whereas in the real world, I feel like chance encounter is more common.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? My brain is kind of like, I just feel like the fact that you're looking at things through like the lens of a phone, whether it's a screen of some sort, the mode in which you're receiving your information, the medium matters and changes our ability to kind of point out things that are obviously not true.
The way I see the internet and social media, as someone that basically lives on it
All day.
Dude, more hours than most people in the world because of my profession, right? I think it's somewhat a gate to the inner soul.
Yeah.
And that's why that's why a lot of people say, you know, the real world isn't as bad as Twitter, you know, right?
Yeah.
But it's only because people in real life understand that some of their beliefs or their resentment towards other people's beliefs are unbecoming or unwarranted, and so they keep it amongst themselves. But it's as if we're staring at the darkest depths of people that they're sharing willingly.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that before.
And they think what is inherently the worst side of them is virtuous.
Well, Harry and Meghan are proof that that's something that they do now. You share the worst side of you for the sake of clout.
Yeah.
Right? In a lot of ways.
I do see the people that are sharing terrible behavior. And I assume you guys are right that they believe that it is actually good behavior. It blows my mind that there are people that believe that some of the behavior that they share is good.
Same.
And the way that society accepts it. I mean, look, Kim Kardashian, like, don't make any kind of lies about the fact that Kim Kardashian is famous for letting her personal sex tape get out.
Well,
that's what it was.
And her mom is the one that released it.
It's just so bad, so terrible.
I think a lot of it is.
I really do think that, you know, people have changed. Like, there's been a shift in society where unvirtuous things or things that are not virtuous have become thought of as virtuous. Like, you know, I understand that you can allow, like, we should be accepting of people that have different lifestyles and stuff, but things that work a certain way, work for most people, have been implied that they don't work for most people. That they're actually a bad thing for most people. And I think that's a very, very dangerous thing for society, because if you tell a society bad things are good for long enough, bad things start happening a lot because people think that it's good.
I think it's partly that, and I think a lot of it is kind of, for lack of a better term, there's an NPC mentality to a lot of it, where people are just kind of living life, going through the motions. They're doing their own thing, they're living their own life, and they're not really putting a lot of thought into whether the actions that are happening around them are good or bad.
Sure.
I think it's the intersection of what you're both saying. I think it's the fact that they've been told that red is green for long enough to the point where they believe it, and also the point where we were talking about, like, not on my lawn.
Yeah.
But we've come to the point where we've just pushed these issues on everyone's lawn, that the residuals of it are on all our lawns. Yeah. Like, it's on all our lawns, and it affects all of us, and the weeds are growing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so we've come to the point where we're trying to see where we can push this, because we've all agreed to the lie. Yeah. And now it's going to be like, yeah, I want it, just not here, but no one wants it. But so it's
a hot potato.
It's a combination of no one wants it, yet we're all pretending that we do. So it's like, where does it go then?
Yeah. And because it's been made too inconvenient to actually say that you don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let us move on, ladies and gentlemen. We got a couple of super chats there, and I just want to say that Harry and Meghan may be the most annoying people there, but I'm kind of shocked by how, like, people love talking about the royals. I find Harry and Meghan kind of fascinating because she was an American, and how it connects to, like, how his behavior changed, but people love the royal family. It's just
like
crazy to me.
Woman, particularly.
Yes. All right, we got some super chats here. So let's go back up to the top here. Where was I? after Kai? Yes. Okay, so Quite Blackpilled says, Brett mentioned Monday being the guy from the whatever podcast for Halloween. Solid idea, so long as it includes stilts. Well, you know what?
Jesus.
Backhand, full of knuckles with that compliment. I actually want to do a segment soon called like insulting compliments. Like some people have given me some hilarious feedback that it actually makes me laugh. How it's like it's meant to be nice, but it's so not nice at the same time.
Jesus.
Yeah, I should have written it down. There was a couple of good ones recently that really made me laugh. My favorite insult of all time, and I've said this on this podcast before, like more than any one person who says a bunch of like mean stuff like, oh, you're awful, you're the worst, like you're just terrible, like you suck at like there was one person who was like, Brett seems like a really nice guy, he's just not very good at this.
Damn.
Jesus.
I think the phrase "you remind me of" an X, nothing good has ever come after X.
Nothing ever.
It's never been like, oh, you remind me of this like insane Giga Chat. It's always like, you remind me of this incredibly niche person.
People keep saying like, if Brett like that Charlie Day would play me in a movie, and I'm just saying,
that's
like,
awesome.
Your voice sounds, now that you mention it, your voice and Charlie Day's voice actually are similar.
Technically, you've never seen us both in the same place at the same time, so do with that what you will. All right. Olivia Claire says, hi, Dane and Phil.
Hello.
Hey, Brett. I'll go to the Fast and the Furious 10 with you. I just wanted to hear Phil read that. It needs to be clipped. Phil, do you want to reread that? Because I had taken over. It's from Olivia Claire.
I gotta find it. I opened up my computer, not the other one, so I don't have the super chats.
You gotta read this one.
All right, I gotta read this for you. Hold on a second. Let me get this up for you. Go ahead and read the next one. I'll pull that.
Please hold.
Waffle Sensei says, I like Destiny, but he was pretty whack last night. Definitely was a good show, though. They should not have kicked that girl off the show, though. She wanted the viral moment. Oh, they're saying she did it on purpose.
Dude, I can't. I've tried watching that podcast.
Oh, you're not signed into the super chat thing over here. I don't see any of them.
To the top tab to the right.
Yeah, it's not in.
No,
I promise.
That podcast melts my brain.
Does it? Scroll down. Okay.
I tried to see the one where Jabba the Hutt was on.
Yeah.
And I went the first 2 minutes, and she was like, "I was 35 bad bitch."
Well, boy, I tell you what, that was just some top memes.
I mean, that guy has created like a very, very popular, like you got to give the dude credit, right? He's created something that a lot of people enjoy watching. Even if they're just watching it for the cringe, that's still a market that he's
yeah. I mean, I listened to a little bit of it last night because of Mary and because of Destiny and trying to hear, just because I knew that there was going to be a lot of people talking about Destiny's appearance and stuff. I mean, I don't find them compelling. You know, it's
yeah.
You know, I heard they were talking about their open relationship, him and his girlfriend or his wife or
I'm
whatever.
sure Mary had nothing but positive things to say about that.
Yeah,
I'm sure she. I can't wait for the clips that like the Ben Shapiro titles that are like, Mary destroys Destiny with facts and logic about open relationships.
I'm hoping to see what I want to see the clips because I want to find out what it is that people are talking about, but I cannot sit there and listen to the whole thing because there's a lot of arguing and a lot of just real idiot takes.
Yeah, bottom of the barrel, lol cow.
Yeah, it's it's like, oh, I like girls a lot, and so that's why it's okay. And it's like, well, whatever.
Dude, I literally can't take that show. Every time Mary's on, I was like, oh, let me give it a shot. It's like 2 minutes in, I was like, sorry.
I can't.
Tell me about it.
Okay, hold on a second. There's 1 second. What's her name? Olivia Claire wants to hear me say ooh.
Based.
Did you want to hear an ooh, like was it like this ooh, like a deep voice ooh, or did you want me to do like a high pitched voice?
I don't know who Olivia Claire is, but I feel like we could be friends because I'm trying to revive ooh.
She's regularly in the chat here.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah.
All right.
I like the ironic use of ooh. I think has a lot of potential.
Ooh, back.
Special.
Clip that one, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Olivia, and thank you, Waffle Sensei, for those. Last of My Kind says running behind on the stream, but Hannah Claire Brimlow appears to be running behind in her marathon as well. Does this mean she has to see Fast X in theaters?
Is she running a marathon today?
No, she is back in episode 200. She lost a bet based on super chats that she would watch all of the Fast and the Furious movies. I don't think she got quite through all of them. I think she got through 5.
Hannah Claire is pulling like the Gavin Newsom about reparations. She's like, like, we're just investigating it a little more before we go into
we're
it.
gonna
Okay,
check it out.
just give me a couple days. Give me, and
Send her
Nice.
that. All right. Ben Ryder says House of Cards for the win, even after Kevin Spacey. Yes. House of Cards is another fantastic example of like really, really, really good upscale television that really sets the tone for the vibe when it came, like for the era when it came out, for that type of like streaming channel show. Like it kind of redefined the nature of streaming in a lot of ways. I need to go back and rewatch that now. Kate Mara. Goodness me. All right, we're going to move on, guys. So, J.K. Rowling is owning a bunch of weirdos on Twitter. You've all seen the people. My daughter came up to me and said that, why is Donald Trump trying to destroy America? She was 5, and then everybody clapped, you know? Well, this is the J.K. Rowling version of that. It says, this is from... I kid you not, this is the username. I hate porn addicts on Twitter.
Okay.
Says, my trans daughter used to love your books, but after you became a bigot, she cried and asked me, Daddy, why do people hate those who are different from them? I don't know, baby. I don't know.
I do. They're like you.
I'm guessing that this is where that whole, like, you know, like, I'll take things that never happened for 1,000 Alex comes in.
No one buys it.
Like, no one's buying it.
Why are they mean, Daddy? Why is there bad things?
Daddy, I was concerned about the socio-political ramifications of a Trump presidency. She's 2, by the way. It's like, what the?
Oh, God.
I'm literally shaking right now. Epical says, J.K. Rowling, I have a 12-year-old trans daughter, and she cries every time she sees one of your transphobic posts. She's a huge Harry Potter fan, but seeing the author of her favorite book series being so bigoted is heartbreaking. Please, JK, make my daughter happy again. Well, I'm calling cap on 12-year-olds having Harry Potter as like their favorite book series. Maybe her, the millennial, with Harry Potter as her favorite book series, but I'm calling cap on the Gen Zs and the Alphas using that as their favorite book. Also, I just want to point out that, like, trans daughter, like, I don't know, like, no. Just
I don't believe in trans children.
No.
I know people have said have a feeling about that, or you can feel a certain way about it. I don't believe that kids, when they're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I don't believe that you can actually be trans until you're past puberty. Yep. Like, you have to have a concept of what it means to be one of the genders to actually understand that you believe that you are another one. So I don't buy that at all.
And I mean, which is what is about to be potentially my hottest take.
Yeah.
I think there's something particularly pernicious about it because a lot about being a woman is suffering. Like, women deal with childbirth, women deal with menstruation and a bunch of things, and women deal often with like the evils of men. And to just call yourself a woman and get all the praise of it without any of the inherent suffering that comes from being a woman is kind of dubious.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that.
12-year-olds reading, is that like a thing? Did 12 are they really reading? Like, I don't know. In school maybe. But J.K. Rowling shared a bunch of these and then said, my 1-year-old son just looked up from Twitter and said, Mummy, why have you made all of these very real children sad with your heinous yet unevidenced bigotry? Then he ran upstairs and burned all his Harry Potter books. I was so damn ashamed I almost forgot the kid was imaginary. Like, you kind of do, like, I don't think people realize how unbelievably, like, strong-willed you have to be able to stay strong to something you believe so strong, like so intently on, and have so many people that are so opinionated push back on you all the time. She's kind of a Chad. She really is.
And also, I mean, I think the global consciousness against progressivism is coming to the realization is that, why do I care about impressing the absolute scum of earth?
Yeah.
Why? I don't want to be their friend.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to their parties.
Do you think a lot of it is like people have been, in a lot of ways, we've been inundated with the stories like, then they went after my job because that stuff happens. They call your job and try to get you fired. And I think a lot of people, I wonder how much of it is people who are afraid that they're going to lose their job, because that's a very real threat depending on how loony the person you upset is, or if it's just a lot of people don't want to deal with the negative pushback because they just don't want to be yelled at online. And I think it falls somewhere in the middle for a lot of them. Like, I don't know what the chances are that somebody's gonna come and try to, have you lose your job because you said that you don't believe that trans kids are a thing on Twitter. It might happen, but you shouldn't have to worry about that anyways. You should be allowed to express your opinion without having to worry about losing your job. That's not a hot take, I don't think.
No, all of this stuff is not new. All of this stuff has parallels in the Cultural Revolution in China. So this is the idea that America is not in a cultural revolution, is losing favor finally. People are starting to see it. Now people need to get used to the idea that we're deep enough in that America doesn't get out unscathed. There is going to be repercussions. I saw today, and this is a little bit of a different topic, but I saw today that the Germans are having such a problem producing heat that more people died last winter from cold than from COVID.
Really?
Yeah. So this is another time where some German comes up with an idea that ends up killing people.
Careful!
Because it's not my fault they come up with stupid ideas. So that's the kind of stuff that's going to happen with all the climate change stuff. Because of the fact that energy is life. You do not have life without energy. So if your government puts a limit on how much energy your country can produce, that is also a limit on how many people's lives can be sustained in that country.
Yeah.
That means that people will die.
Yeah.
All there is to it. And that is a typical thing that happens when governments step in and try to change, try massive projects to change the way human beings exist. So
what was the last big one that wasn't a bunch of refrigerant and coolant outlawed in the mid 2010s because of the ozone layer still?
Well, there was stuff that had to go on, or there was an issue with the ozone layer in the 80s,
Yeah,
but that didn't.
There was
it
coolant.
healed up.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's a great line about that in about a documentary about the guy who created refrigerant and commercial refrigerants and stuff like that.
I don't know how to look.
So J.K. Rowling, this was they point out this is one of her big offensive tweets. It's dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who'll have you, live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real. Question mark? Hey, there's question mark right there. I stand with Maya. This is not a drill. Look, the funny thing is, the thing that I will always come back to when I look at stories with J.K. Rowling is this is proof of the uniform nature of what conformity means to them. She agrees with them on 99
on everything,
everything but one issue. And for that, you have to try to ruin her life and boycott all of her products constantly.
Yes. Yep. There is no forgiveness in the left. If you got friends that are leftists that are nice to you, step out of line once and they're going to kick you out of the friend group. Yep. It is a terrible group of people to try and keep happy because the left is always moving left. So you'll think that you're good and stuff, and next thing you know, and that's what happened to J.K. Rowling and the feminists. They were all,
she's
feminism
biological sex is real, and they're hey.
No, well, because for ages and ages she was on the left saying, we're women, we're feminists, we've been oppressed, blah blah blah, solidarity, all the leftist talking points, and then as soon as women essentially get the rights that they say that they have been denied, then the left moves on from women and they go to trans women. And then all the stuff that the biological women had said that they wanted, exclusive spaces for women and blah 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 and all this stuff, then the men dressed up as women come in and they say all the stuff that you fought for, all the stuff that we said, that was all BS, get out of here, we're in charge now. Yeah. We're the women with penises.
Dude, I truly believe
patriarchy reasserts
that's the way it goes
every time.
I truly believe that the pathology that gets you to progressivism is the pathology that gets you to the Red Scare. It's a pathology that gets you to Nazis.
Red Scare, the podcast.
It's
the original terrorists came from the French Terror. That was all the left. They were the people that were terrorizing the population to get them to try to agree with the left side of the French Revolution.
But it's the fervent zealotry for an ideology, despite any evidence to the contrary.
Yes.
And I want to point out that there's more examples of this because there's John Cleese is the latest actor who has to defend J.K. Rowling. But this is what happens, right? It's always some dude with an AARP card who has to end up defending her because the young kids, they can't do it for their career. They're worried about what it's going to mean for their career prospects if they speak up, right? So it says on Twitter, John Cleese criticized those who spoke out against J.K. Rowling's controversial comments about the transgender community. Again, I don't find her views to be all that controversial.
They're not.
Take with that what you will. If you do not agree with someone on the transgender arguments, this apparently makes me transphobic, he tweeted. So if they do not agree with some of my opinions, does that make them Cleese-phobic? I love the boomer humor. That's actually Silent Generation humor.
That is some Silent Generation humor.
I like it. Or does that hatred only flow in one direction? That is a very good question, Mr. Cleese. Well, known as the co-founder of Monty Python, I think there's a Monty Python reboot coming soon too, or a continuation. Cleese also portrayed nearly headless Nick in the first 2 Harry Potter movies. Yes, of course, and I completely forgot about that. So his comments, the fact that his very, very vanilla comments are like a reason to make some type of article, just proves to you how much they require you to conform to their views. You're not allowed to speak out.
Beyond that, they're shocked by opposition.
Yeah.
And again, it is the stupidest, mildest, most tepid opposition possible. It's always like, consider this.
Yeah. And his was in regards to her tweet it was this tweet. It was from a little bit, I guess, from earlier this week. She says, for voicing my concerns about gender-affirming care for minors, I have been called a transphobic bigot. If that's what speaking out against the medicalization of homosexuality makes me, then so be it, she says. She just, I imagine that she, maybe what it is, maybe she does get nervous, but she, sits on a bag of money when she tweets these things, and she's like, it's all going to be fine.
Well, that's the thing. Like Musk said the other night, he was getting criticism for saying something about George Soros, and they default to anti-Semitism anytime you criticize George Soros. And so,
what about George Foreman? Can we criticize George Foreman?
I mean, I suppose you could, but it's hard to find problems with George Foreman.
Oh,
He's
no,
there's
there's a very serious essay accusation against him.
I don't want to know. I don't want to hear another.
Dude, Bernie
story.
Sanders, didn't he write an essay about females' fantasy about you know what?
Oh yeah, women like to be raped and that kind of stuff.
So nothing is ever they if you're on the side, there's no fault to you on any regard.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. I don't know. It's just, it's one of those things. J.K. Rowling is she's always fun for me because I really do. Every time I read one of her tweets, I either picture her sitting on a huge bag of money or I picture her kind of like Scrooge McDuck diving into a huge pile of money as she's sending these tweets. And it makes me feel like, you know what? That's nice.
I think the most disgusting thing is I don't know if the 3 main actors of Harry Potter have been against her, but
they
I
have.
think all 3 of them? Because no one cares about the ginger kid.
Rupert Grint less so than the other 2, but yeah, Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe have very firmly been like, we don't care that you made our career.
You should.
Yeah.
Because she pulled you from irrelevancy.
Yeah.
You really should care.
Yeah, the actress who played Luna Lovegood came out and Ivana Lynch came out and said, why isn't she allowed to have her own opinion, which I thought was pretty, for a lack of a better term, based for someone who's in, a younger person who's still with less success and probably has more of a reason to be quiet because they want to keep working. Mm-hmm. So I actually think that's more worthy of support. So, all right. We got a couple of super chats here, and then we got one more thing to run into, guys. Before we move on, though, hit the like button. I was looking at the like button here. I need you guys to hit it. We're still at over 500 people watching, only 221 likes. Hit the like button, please. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Got to get those reminders in.
Yes, exactly. So the last of my kind says Roy Wood Jr. has a great stand-up on how hard it is to be a bad firefighter. Shout out to all of my smoke eaters out there.
Good job, boys.
There you go. We have a volunteer fire, a lot of volunteer fire departments over here. Also, I saw there's a lot of private ambulances in this area,
Ambulances tend to be services that are
Not
private. They're not state run usually, because we don't have state run.
But usually they're attached to a hospital. At least in Minnesota, most of the ones that I saw were attached to a specific hospital.
Well, they're not going to be attached to like a Jiffy Lube.
But I'm saying, like, here they didn't have hospital names on the site. It was just like it wasn't attached to any specific location. Right,
Yeah,
so
maybe.
they could go to any depending.
I
on how
just
many
imagine
are in the
that
area.
I don't think that in New Hampshire there are hospitals that are attached to the ambulances.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly who runs them, but it is my understanding that they're private. I mean, look, it costs you like $5,000 to get into an ambulance nowadays because of healthcare, because of the health insurance.
I think it's more than that. It's like $7.
Yeah, whatever.
It's like
I don't know. Just a huge,
At that point, I'll
exorbitant,
just
stupid
die.
amount.
Yeah, it's
Can
like,
I just crawl to the hospital? At this
seriously.
point? A Goofer Trooper says, boys, let's go. I've been getting a lot of people have been memeing on me with the let's go. I am going to have to settle on a specific amount of O's in the go so that I can quantify when it's me saying it.
I think 7.
Some guys or somebody sent me one the other day. It's like when anything exciting happens to you in your 30s, and it's a guy just saying "let's go" in various voices to different things. It's like bachelor party, let's go. It's like dinner at Applebee's, let's go.
There's a lot of let's goes.
Yeah, it's a very different amount of let's goes for the different situations. The last of my kind says, Dane, my man, rolled a 20, destroyed a monarchy.
Thank you. Oh yeah, she did.
Yeah, she did. She
did.
absolutely did. Her and her pencil skirt destroyed its entire monarchy.
You know,
And I'm here for it.
it's why can it be like a 9? I don't think like that was a 20. You know, I think that was like a 15. You know what I mean?
Well, no, like I don't know if there's an emoji for a 19. I think there's only an emoji for a
Get on
21,
it, Jessica. Jeez. What are you doing?
Kai says Destiny is still a cuck. I listened to it.
I mean, I think he's like textbook.
Kai also says, I don't always agree with Mary, but the end. All right. We got one more thing to get into here. Guys, before we're done, I want to talk about Tom Hanks a little bit because I just remembered the other day that he did that really, really bad Uncanny Valley Polar Express movie. Did any of you guys see that one?
No.
Polar Express? Well, the Polar Express was like a book that my mom used to read to me when I was a kid. I loved that. Loved that book. Around Christmas time, she would read that to me. It says actor Tom Hanks believes that he could be appearing in a new movies after he dies thanks to the power of artificial intelligence. It says, what is a bona fide possibility right now if I wanted to is I could get together and pitch a series or 7 movies that would star me in them, which I would be 32 years old from now until Kingdom Come. Hanks told the latest episode of the Adam Buxton podcast.
Dude, who needs more Tom Hanks?
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm going to be fair. He does seem to be a dude where he does a couple of stinkers, but most of his movies seem to be fairly.
He's the Meryl Streep of male actors.
I disagree.
Overrated.
I don't know if he's the Meryl Streep of male actors.
I mean, no one's as evil as Meryl Streep.
Yes, that is true.
Let's be real.
But I say, like, I think one of the things is that AI might benefit mediocre actors more than it will benefit really, really talented actors. Really, really talented actors who give you really, really memorable performances engage you more thoroughly.
Yeah.
Meaning you watch more closely.
If they were mediocre but hot,
yes,
AI is going to do it for you.
Like the average movie that you're just kind of paying attention to, which is like a lot of what comes out lately. Like a lot of things that you just put on Netflix. It's not something you want to watch really closely. You put it on while you're doing chores. You put it on while you're doing something else, right? Those are the areas where artificial intelligence will really benefit actors. Meaning that if Tom Hanks or some actor who's really, really highly regarded wants to do something, there's going to be more scrutiny to it because their performances are lauded as more talented most of the time. So the discrepancies in the performances will stand out more. Right?
I can't imagine.
Like he even admits it in here. He says like the performances wouldn't quite be the same.
No, I don't think they would be. I think that I don't know. In the future, I think that they might be able to fake it.
Have there been AI versions of your band?
Not that I'm aware of.
Have you?
No,
I thought that'd be interesting because AI Drake right now is nonstop.
Dude. And AI Kanye.
Well,
AI Kanye is a huge, like, I've been listening to nothing but AI Kanye.
It's probably
Kanye covers of Avril
It's probably
songs.
more of a problem for big actors when it comes to that kind of stuff than it is for mediocre ones, or at least for large artists when it comes to musicians and stuff. Just because when people sit down and they want to play with this stuff, they think of the names that pop into their head first. So like in the metal genre, Five Finger Death Punch would get it. Slipknot would get it.
People with distinct voices.
Yeah, but sort of, but yes, yeah. But the thing is, they're not going to go after bands. There's not as much bang for your buck going after a band that not everybody knows about. Like they'll go after Metallica because everyone knows Metallica, and that means that when they hear it, people will be like, "That's Metallica." Going after a band like like All That Remains, like not everyone's going to know who All That Remains is. Not everyone's going to be like, "Oh, that sounds like All That Remains," because All That Remains, we don't have like all of our records are platinum. We got some we've had some platinum, some gold and stuff, but it's not like we're a household name. And household names, I think, is probably the best way to figure it out. Household names are the ones that are going to get it the most, because it's the names that are on the top of the mind when people sit down and be like, let's make a mayonnaise commercial with the famous, or whatever it is, So
would you find it jarring or flattering?
I would assume I find it flattering, because that would mean that, we're on.
They cared enough.
Yeah, we're on the top of people's minds. So that's that's cool, and I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't take offense to it. There might be legal issues when it comes to, depending on what they do.
Monetization, like if they were to monetize it. One thing that I found interesting is that admitting that that doing that like the performances wouldn't be the same, and saying that they would do it anyways, in a way tacitly admits that it's not just about the art, that the money matters too. Like they're not just saying, like, if it was just about the art, he wouldn't want this to happen, because he would be like, how do I know it's me? How do I know I'm giving the performance that I would give? You can use all of the algorithmic, hocus pocus you want. That doesn't mean I'm going to make this exact choice at this exact time. It doesn't mean I'm going to use this inflection on this word. I might do it differently. And just by admitting that it's something that they're considering the idea of, they're admitting that the art isn't the paramount only concern, that there are other things to consider, which a lot of the more pretentious actors have a hard time doing. They always talk about how it's just about the art. They always talk about like, oh, I didn't really care about, it's like, yeah, the money's great, but it was about getting to the truth of the matter, and it was about this, it was about that.
That's fair enough when you've got, 10 mil in the bank.
Yeah.
If you've been an actor for 20 years and you've got, you've been smart with your money, and you've got a house that's worth a couple mil, and you got, a 401k that's a couple mil, and you got a couple mil in the bank. And
Must be nice.
Yeah, it's like, that's easy to be like, well, the money didn't matter. Because the money doesn't matter to you, but someone else.
It's like that meme. It says like, looks don't matter, hot people, money doesn't matter, rich people.
Tall people don't care. Tall, height doesn't matter. Tall people.
Yeah, it is. You always underestimate the importance of something that you have in abundance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It says, while Hanks acknowledged that the AI version of himself would not be able to produce the same performance as he does now, he wondered whether audiences would really mind. So he's calling you stupid, too, by the way. He's also calling you stupid. Without a doubt, people will be able to tell, but the question is, will they care? Well, when you've been making garbage movies for the last 20 years, Hollywood, you've sucked the desire to care out of it. I read an article today praising all of the witty signs on the AI, on the writer's strike line. I'm like, well, maybe if they did more time writing these witty lines for their scripts over the last 10 years, they'd have gotten a raise or two. I'm just saying. Like... spend more time on your actual job and write the witty lines there, not once you've started striking, because you're not making the money you want to make. The task of creating AI Tom Hanks was made easier as his likeness and movements were recorded for the use of the 2004 movie The Polar Express. He also remember, we do owe him for one thing, Dane. He did produce Chet Hanks, so...
That is pretty much.
He's got that going for it, but he did make Colin Hanks too, so it's kind of like one step forward, two steps back.
Dude, Colin Hanks he looks like a guy who Googles Colin Hanks every day.
Yeah. See, I see him, and I just see a dude who's terrified that he's going to get pushed into lockers by Chet Hanks. That's what he is to me.
I just can't I can't remove him from his role in the OC or something, where he just wanted to get into Stanford or something, a movie like that.
I love the OC, so I can't hate it.
I like that movie too.
No, the show, the OC.
Oh, well, sure. And I've never seen it.
That's a problem.
I feel like that's too...
You should get on that.
I feel like that's too mainland America for me.
It was a cultural touchstone in the early 2000s. Are you kidding me?
I mean, I believe you.
Yes.
But he just talks about himself like he's such a serious actor. It's like, okay, dude.
Colin Hanks does?
Yeah.
It's like your dad's gravitas rubbed off on you without any of the talents. Like, sorry, buddy, you have not earned that.
You were in the worst season of Dexter. Relax.
He does like. I feel like I was watching this video. There's this. I remember I showed you the Instagram musings of a crouton.
Mm-hmm.
She has this amazing video she does recently where she's like, she feels bad for the people who get cast. Like, have you ever like watched a movie and you get down to the middle of the credits and it's like angry guy?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the name of the character. It's like imagine being the people who get cast as somebody that's like ugly person. And that's an
you're
actual,
great.
like,
we'll have you.
Yeah, it's like, man, like do you put that on your resume as like special skills, like play an ugly person really well? And a lot of times they're not ugly. They're just like somebody who can be made to look ugly with the right makeup. Like one of my favorite things is like you'll see these people and they look like Nicholas Brendan kind of pulled that, like had that like after Buffy where it's like you look at him in shows and movies and it's like, wow, that guy's kind of like unfortunate looking. And then you see him without the glasses they put him in the show and you're like, oh, he's kind of just a normal looking, above average looking dude, right? Like that's a thing. Well, she's talking about like ugly people, but Colin Hanks, he's exactly the type of person. It's like, we need a nerd. Like we need a really like a tall nerd. Is that a thing? Tall nerd. You hire Colin Hanks for
Or
that.
some Harris self like
Like somebody who would actually say
pretentious
actually,
asshole.
like in a sentence without like not ironically, right?
Actually,
like, that's what he is, and he's like, and to be fair, I give them a little bit of leeway where it's like, imagine having that dad. I wouldn't want that responsibility going into the same field as a dad of that level of success, right? Like Kobe, or not Kobe, I'm sorry, LeBron James, like a lot of times they'll show videos where LeBron James goes to watch his kid play basketball. It's like, imagine being that kid and having to be LeBron James's kid.
Yeah.
I saw that Gary Sheffield's son just hit like a walk-off.
Gary Sheffield.
Yeah, he hit a walk-off home run at like a high school baseball game, has the same batting stance as his dad. Like that's not easy, man.
you know who has to put up with a whole lot of stuff like that?
Who?
Wolf Van Halen.
Thinks, oh, does he?
Yeah, his dad, because his dad's Van Halen, and his dad would show him stuff, and he'd be like, "You just do it like this," and he'd be like, "No, you just do it like this. Normal people, it just doesn't come so easy."
It's like the meme of like, it's like me after my dad asked me to hold a flashlight for 7 minutes because he's like, it's the trope of like your dad says, "Hold it like this," and like you cannot hold the flashlight properly. Like that's the problem, right? Like, or Damian Marley, like you're just not going to be. I mean, that's his brother, right? That's not his son. Is
Damian Marley?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's his brother.
I mean, the metaphor stands.
Yeah, like it's
inferior.
like you're not going to be Bob Marley. You're not Bob Marley, nor will you ever be Bob Marley. I'm sorry.
That'll suck.
It is what it is. Like I said, Tom Hanks is I think an interesting example because I think there's going to be certain actors. It would be like trying to pull off a Daniel Day-Lewis performance without Daniel Day-Lewis. I think
Forrest Gump was like 1,000 years ago. Get over.
they're
it.
making a sequel.
No way.
No.
Forrest Gump 2
Do you
Electric
think he died?
Boogaloo. No, they're actually making it. I'm making up the Electric Boogaloo part, but they actually are making a sequel.
Dude, Forrest
I
Gump
think it's going to be a prequel.
Get out.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
gonna be
it's going to
incredible.
happen.
I hate this already.
Dude, they're gonna put modern day stuff. I believe you that you're a woman. It's gonna be just.
Well, better than Jenny. It's just, anything's better than. Sorry.
Jenny was a little hussy, yeah.
Jenny was a whore that got AIDS and dropped off
Hell yeah.
her kid with Forrest Gump.
He's better off with Kim Petras than Jenny.
But yeah, like seriously though, don't like.
No, thank you.
Don't
for saying it.
don't think that Jenny was ever good. She was the villain of Forrest Gump.
Hell yeah, dude.
She was absolutely the villain, and she took advantage of a poor, mentally ill man, or learning disabled man, and like possibly gave him AIDS. Because she was dying with AIDS when she came to his house.
Damn.
I mean,
Thank you for saying it.
it's true.
I just wanted to
Jenny
beat
was
around the
villain.
bush about it and be like, you know what I mean, but
No, there's amazing memes of how awful Jenny is.
She is the worst.
Everybody hates Jenny. And
the
there's
worst.
there's nobody that actually likes that actually likes Jenny.
And the funny thing is, the actress that plays Jenny then goes to play pseudo Hillary Clinton on another show. So she's just
It was
used
Daryl
to being
Hannah, right?
Yeah.
Daryl Hannah. Yeah, see, I always know Daryl, or I always think of Daryl Hannah from Mermaid, so I don't automatically associate her with Jenny because of the fish with the boobs costume.
Master Yoda says she gave Forrest AIDS. Yeah.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
gave Forrest AIDS. At a time when you don't survive AIDS. That's how it's not a sequel. That's why it's a prequel.
That's why. Yeah, I was like, how is there going to be a sequel? Like
He's
he
dead.
dies of AIDS.
And he died of AIDS.
Gets, you know what? That's all that gumbo shrimp just goes to your brain, and then eventually you make horrible decisions.
Nope, it was the AIDS. It was the AIDS from the drug-addled woman.
Not
At least he
good.
got some.
I'm telling you though, but like they'll be able to make that movie without aging Tom Hanks because they'll be able to use deep fakes, and they can put Bruce Willis in there because he sold his rights off to an AI deep fake company, and we can have Die Hard. See, that's what I want. I do want this kind of like. I want a future where Hollywood can do this thing where it's just like you can make it's like choose your own adventure. It's like you download a program, right? And it's so realistic. You're like, okay, I want Forrest Gump 2, but Die Hard. And Die Hard and John
I can see it.
Yeah, and McClane just comes in and saves Forrest Gump from a burning building as he's running.
To have sex with Jenny where he's going to get AIDS.
Exactly. It's perfect.
But meanwhile, they kill his dog, so he goes on a rampage.
And John Wick comes in, and it's John Wick versus Forrest Gump versus John McClane. It's perfect.
We talked about this a little bit on IRL the other night, and
Never heard it.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
It makes me kind of scared of what people are going to come up with because you know
They're saying not Daryl Hannah. Who was it then? It's been so
That
long.
Friday
since I've seen-
episode, you were just wrecking that poor lady. You were like, well, actually, the world is horrible. And
it's true though. You're going to get people.
you destroyed her.
Look, when people are able to
Robin
just
Wright.
create,
Robin Wright. That's
Robin
what
Wright.
Duh.
That's Jenny?
From House of Cards.
Yeah, that's what
Duh.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Pseudo Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whore.
She was.
Jenny the whore.
But yeah, I think that the things that people will create when they are given the ability and the enough privacy to get away with it, they'll create monstrous and terrible things. I think that just because they can, and the evidence is the hooker in GTA 5. You can everybody picked up the hooker, brought her behind the building or whatever, brought her to the alley, had sex with her,
Killed her with
then
a dildo.
killed her and took the money back.
Yep.
And that was the joke that went on. That's gonna happen in as close to reality as VR will produce, once they start putting stuff into your brain where they can actually have stimulate your brain to create these worlds inside of your head, they're gonna be monstrous and disgusting and horrible.
I still think that 95% of people will have Sydney Sweeney as a fake girlfriend.
Holyverse in the chat
Maybe.
says Jenny was abused by her dad. Jeez. Does that make it okay for her
That does
to
not make it okay to give someone- yeah.
I mean, I know it is in
So-
California because they decriminalized it, but everywhere else, that's a problem.
So let me give you the proper answer to what you're saying. Jenny was abused by her dad, and that doesn't make any of the stuff she did okay.
Is that canon?
What?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, in the very beginning when him and Jenny are kids, they had a little part where she was abused and Forrest had to go save her. And also when she came back, Forrest brought her she went to her old house and she threw rocks at it and cried, and then so just Forrest had a bulldozer just bulldoze it.
Damn, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
All right. The moral of the story is that Tom Cruise, it's not just about the art, it's about the money too, guys. We got one super chat here from Glenn. RK4 says, what's your guys' favorite Scary Movie, the franchise, and why is it Scary Movie 2? I've only seen Scary Movie 1. I've never seen any of the other Scary Movies, and it's been 2 decades.
I think 2, yeah. 3 was kind of out there.
I like the first one because the actors in it were like people that were popular at the time. I was like, oh, they're all cool. You know, now I don't give a crap.
What are the Wayans brothers up to these days?
I don't know.
Hopefully making more.
I know they were saying that they want to make White Chicks too, and I was like, yes,
I want them to.
Let's go.
I want them to.
Just do it. Like, what if we got like a Chicks cinematic universe, and it's like White Chicks, Black Chicks, Asian Chicks.
It should be white chicks, but instead of being the young white chicks like they were in the show, they're middle aged and Karens. You know, just the most annoying people ever.
The girls that got fired from Google.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Like, I'm telling you, the Chicks cinematic universe could be fantastic.
Yeah.
They have to go undercover as various. It'd just be so offensive and awesome.
Man.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we go, could you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? We have passed 60,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for that. Go and subscribe if you have not done so. Dane, my friend, where can they find you?
you can help me with my ongoing battle with irrelevancy by following me on Twitter at DaneFont, DANEFONT.
All right, my friend. Phil, where can they find you?
I am Phil That Remains on Twitter, Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains, available on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, YouTube, etc., etc.
Perfect. And guys, if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show, Pop Culture Crisis, is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you would like to listen to this podcast rather than watch, we're on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we are on Twitter at PopCulture_show. We got a $2 super chat here from James Orenthal. Wen says, what's the over-under on a Wayne's Golden Girls?
That would be awesome.
Dude. And I think most of the Golden Girls have since passed on, so they can do a whole new one now. That's what they'll have to do. All right, Twitter at PopCulture_show, Facebook and TikTok at PopCultureCrisis, and on Instagram at PopCultureCrisisPod. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys. Bye.